on Monday, May the 20th, 2024. Call the meeting to order. Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilor Perry,
Here.
Councilor Baker,
Here.
Councilor Hires,
Here.
and Councilor Allen is up, but we have one.
Great. Okay, move right into regular session.
Discussion and possible action to approve with modifications or deny ordinance number 1379/2024, an ordinance of the city of Tahlequah, Oklahoma, by amending Tahlequah City Code Part 2, Administration and Government, Chapter 2-4, General Provisions relating to city officers and employees, by amending Section 2-407, City Offices when open, providing for codification, severability, repealer, and declaring an emergency. Councilor Amy Perry and City Administrator Tahlequah.
So this is the second reading. It's, the gist of it is allowing the mayor to set those dates for office hours for city offices, which include City Hall. At this time, I'll turn it over to Lynn to kind of talk about what were, the background about this, and the possible proposals for what the office's hours are.
Very good, thank you, and good evening, Mayor and councilors. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss this topic of work-life balance and the implementing of a compressed or adjusted work schedule. The issue has actually gained significant attention among municipalities in recent years, and many cities and towns across Oklahoma are already adopting these practices. Recent survey that I conducted revealed that 18 different communities in the state have successfully implemented a 4 9s and 1 4. That's 4 9-hour days and 1 4-hour day. Receiving positive feedback from both their employees and their communities. The communities vary in size from large cities like Stillwater and Edmond to more comparable cities to us like El Reno and Glenville. Implementing a modified work schedule is crucial in promoting a work-life balance among employees. It demonstrates that the city of Tahlequah is committed to creating a work culture that supports this balance. And it has been something that we have talked about for the last few years. And as Taylor explained, this is the second reading. So do we have a motion?
Do we have any questions?
I do have one question,
Yes, sir.
and this may be directed to the mayor or whomever, just to have an idea of the time schedule that you're thinking about, whether it be 8, 7:30, or just kind of have an idea of what that time frame might be.
It would be 7:30 to 5:30, Monday through Thursday, and 7:30 to 11:30 on Fridays.
Okay. I will make the motion to accept as presented.
Very good.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Councilor Baker,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
Councilor Hires,
Yes.
motion carried.
Woo!
So for clarification, the ordinance won't go into effect till 30 days after it's published. And so the target date we're looking at would just start our fiscal year, July 1. And then we'll carry it on.
Yay, good job.
That will be 4th of July.
A lot of vacations on that Friday half day.
Item 6B. Item 2B, presentation and discussion of the proposed City of Tahlequah's 2024-2025 budget in compliance with the Oklahoma Municipal Budget Act. Mayor Suzanne Myers, City Treasurer Marty Hainsinger, and City Administrator Taylor Tangill.
Thank you. I know how we all hate to be read to, but I'm going to read to you my letter that goes along with the budget for this year, and it's to the city councilors and the residents of Tahlequah. The proposed budget for the 24-25 fiscal year represents the collaborative efforts of the city's department heads, the finance director and departmental administrative staff, the city administrator, the city treasurer, and me. These individuals have worked diligently throughout the current fiscal year to ensure the financial stability of our city. This budget is a testament to their efforts. As presented, the 2024-25 budget is balanced and meets the funding requirements of the city's rainy day reserve. Operating budgets within the general fund reflect the day-to-day expenses of our departments. In an effort to acknowledge their tireless efforts and willingness to go above and beyond the scope of their workload, we are pleased to include a 3% across the board raise for all full-time employees and some administrative change to certain employees' pay. I am sure you too are pleased to reward and acknowledge the job our city employees are doing. A small number of employees who were being paid significantly below an acceptable hourly wage have been increased in an effort to retain them in their positions. In 2023, we were able to refinance the bond money and now have monies available, which, with council approval, will provide us with an opportunity to invest in our youth programs in an effort to establish our community as a destination for youth sports play. We believe this will increase revenue and tax dollars and increasing our tournament tourism season from the summer months to February through October for revenue increases. And in conclusion, the city is in a strong financial position with continued steady growth in our sales, taxes, our general fund expenses are supported with our revenue. Through the diligent efforts of our planning department and others, we have been awarded grants and other non-reoccurring sources of revenue that will allow us to accomplish much in the coming year. With continued growth in our population, our needs for additional safety personnel and infrastructure will also expand. And I'm happy to present this budget today to the councilor for questions and review. The end.
Taylor or Marty, do you have any opening words before I have a question?
You want to go? I'll start. Okay. So I'll just make a few comments about the budget itself. So obviously what the mayor said, we prepared a balanced budget. Within the packet that you guys have, you have the mayor's letter, as well as some narrative about the budget as well in the next few pages. It also talks about some funds, and I want to talk about a specific fund, which is our emergency reserve fund. And so this was included within the email that I sent to the councilors. But basically, we are proposing to restructure those funds to meet our requirements in the ordinance that was passed in 2016. And so currently, we've got all of our reserve funds in this separate emergency reserve fund. In the proposed budget, we're proposing to move 5% of those funds back to the general fund and 3% of those funds back to the general fund. And those are labeled operating reserves and emergency reserves. I'm not saying that's the best thing to do, but that meets our ordinance, meets the laws that's in place right now. So that's about $1 million that's being transferred from that fund to the general fund. And there will be some restrictions on the use of those funds that are going to mirror generally what the ordinance already states. And so I just kind of want to make that point. If you look at our revenues year over year, it's going to show 11.25% increase. And in reality, that's not necessarily the case. What we're proposing for our revenue projections, an increase of just a little over 3%, 3.08% or $367,000. So that's $367,000 of additional funds that we have available to spend compared to last year. So I just kind of want to make that clarifying remark. And again, it's in response to just meeting that ordinance that's in place. And I think next year, next fiscal year, we all need to work together on that ordinance. There's not a whole lot of teeth to it. It basically says, if you can fund it, try to do it. It doesn't say you must or shall. So fortunately, the funds are there. And so there's not a whole lot of looking to meet the ordinance requirements. It's just transferring the funds to where they're supposed to be based on the ordinance.
And if I may add, it's going to also have triggering events where those funds, more specific triggering events when those funds can be used, and the authority of those authority to use the funds. So you'll have the emergency reserve, the operating reserve, and then net stabilization. But it's completely funded as of this ordinance, but we hope to, like Taylor said, have a new one coming up this next year.
So the rainy day fund, I mean, basically I already know the answer just from what you stated, but the rainy day fund, it essentially is still there.
It's still funded, yes.
But it's just, we're basically segmenting it into its appropriate places at this point.
Right, based on the ordinance and the interpretation of the ordinance, so.
And I'm just trying to make sure, the public knows that.
Yep.
Also, just make sure that whenever we all do work together on this, and it's my intention is hopefully that the other counselors, and I can't speak for them, is to gradually increase that to where we are in a safer position. Not so much safer, but in a better position just in case something does happen. And I think that if we work on that gradually, we can attain those goals. So
Yeah, there'll be a recommended amount, and I think there'll be a fair amount. We went through the training, and I think he had a general recommended amount, but there'll be a lot of research and data gathered before that's put in place.
Any other questions from the council or from anyone here tonight?
I say one thing to everybody who was a part of this. Thank you for your hard work. I know sometimes that, especially myself, I may not look like I'm exactly the most happy person, but it's been an honor, and as well as, seeing how hard you've worked, and, hopefully that, I know sometimes that we, don't exactly do everything that you would like, and I wish we could. But seeing what you guys have done for the community, especially within the last year, as well as everybody that's been a part of this, it has been so much easier to work with one another, whether that's been apparent on your end or it has been apparent on mine. The camaraderie, as well as being able to work all together on goals, knowing each other's goals, which is what the last meeting that we had, it's just been a breath of fresh air. And so I just want to say thank you to all the department heads as well as everybody.
Thank you, Councilor.
One more thing to add. So, this is our kind of first presentation to you. It was first presentation to the department heads as well on Tuesday when this was sent out. And so naturally, you're going to get some responses back. There was one position that was intended to be in the budget, and it's not, as a firefighter position. And so we're going to work, what I'm saying is the next budget that you see will not be exactly this. We're going to have to work through that. There's some non-monetary things that we'll address as well, but we'll keep you in the loop on any changes for the next presentation and our official public hearing, which is something we do need to talk about tonight of when that will be scheduled. We can certainly do it on the same night of our next council meeting, June 3rd. We can do it during the meeting. We can do it prior to the meeting. It's the published public hearing that's required by state law. So I'm gonna leave it up to you. I know Josh, he gets back, I think the 31st or something. So he'll be back for that meeting, but I'd like to have it as soon as possible. And that's kind of the schedule we're working with.
I do want to commend you on this being your first budget you've done. I've been told that you did an incredible job on masterminding this. I also want to give kudos to Michelle, as well as, Marty here. Marty, what's your general opinion, if you don't mind, from a treasurer's point of view, that are we heading in the right direction?
Yeah, I think this year the budgeting process was the smoothest I've been involved in. Taylor, Michelle, and the mayor really took ownership of the numbers and the financials that we had. And so, and for Taylor to spend and Michelle to spend the time that they spent going through the process, meeting with the department heads and presenting a balanced budget feels good. And so, so I'm more than happy and, thank you, Taylor, again, and the mayor and Michelle. They made it really, painless this cycle for me.
Great. And I hope that the department heads, from the beginning of the initial process to today and until it's adopted, feel as though you were heard. Your recommendations and your requests were valuable. And I hope that you feel good about the process as well as we do. So hopefully you do.
Any department heads would they like to speak? If you don't mind me asking.
Way easier, pleasure to work with, Mike, considering.
Thank you.
Way cooler.
I do want to have a shout out to the department heads too. So this is my first go around. Some of you, maybe you first as well, but definitely thank you guys for helping really put this thing together. I think really when we got down to it, it was kind of, I think it was $500,000 over what our expected revenues were. And so I know everybody's got needs. And I appreciate everybody for working with us on trying to figure out what those priorities were for your department specifically. So thank you.
Yeah. So at this point, without any other questions, then what do we do? Well, so we're going to do the public hearing on June the 3rd.
We can, but we have meetings at 5 and 5:15 on the 3rd already.
Okay. So do we want to do it at 4:30?
Or 5:30.
Yeah, we can just do it. We can do it.
the council meeting.
Okay.
I just assumed, I really didn't see any major discrepancies.
Okay.
We need to-
Well, we want to give the public an opportunity
Yes.
to come in and say their concerns if they have any. So we'll just plan on then meeting at 5 and 5:30 on the 3rd, and this will be a part of the regular meeting on June the 3rd in this chamber at 5:30. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
So
I'll second.